I got pregnant at 14, and I'm going to tell you exactly how I destroyed the life they said my son would have. So many people beat me down. They tried to break me. The looks, the stares, the gasps, the whispers, the things they said directly to my face. I can only imagine what they were saying behind my back. And if I felt that way, who knows how my mom felt. Here's our story. I was just 11 years old when I met his dad. You heard that right, 11. I was so young, so sweet, so innocent, and very naive. The two of us, we were just two kids who fell in love playing an adult's game. And it wasn't long before those games would no longer be fun to play. While I wasn't promiscuous, I didn't do drugs, I didn't drink or smoke, but I was still seeing things that I shouldn't see, and I was still around people that I shouldn't have been around. My mom had gotten sick, and my dad was working around the clock. That left all the room in the world for me to do whatever I wanted. Everyone knew I was his girl, and it wasn't long before I became a mini version of him. Growing up in Inslee in the 90s, if you weren't strapped with something, you had some form of protection. And one day, these girls ran into the gym and they told me my sister had just been jumped. And without thinking, without a second thought, I ran to be her protector. And just so happened that one day, I had a pocket knife. I pulled it out without even thinking. And just like that, honey, I was on my way to alternative school. Back in the day, it was called Thomas. So not only had I embarrassed my mom, I now have made it extra hard for her because my dad was working. And that meant she had to not only get my sister and brother to school, now she had to go out of her way to drive me all the way across town and still make it to work in time, sometimes without even enough time to eat. When I got there, I can't say that I was scared, but it did feel a little weird being confined with the worst of the worst from all the schools. I knew that's not where I should be, and a part of me regretted that day, but I couldn't take it back. I realized instead of being a version of him, I really wanted to be the best version of me. So I buckled down. I got so good in school. They started sending me letters from everywhere. I even got into Ramsey High School. But I begged my mom to not send me there, and she gave in because I had proven that I could do the work, I could get the grades, and I could be the perfect student. So she trusted me, and she went ahead and sent me to Inslee High. By the second semester, I was pregnant with my first child. I remember the way my mom cried that day, and she was in the kitchen and leaned against the refrigerator, and she said, well, if that's what you want to do with your life, that's on you. My dad came home fussing at my sister, and she said, well, don't be mad at me because she's pregnant. I was in the bathroom at the time, and I remember his footsteps sounded like echoes of a giant. I was terrified, but all he did was fuss at me. He said, I can't believe you let him get you pregnant. And as scared as I was to tell them, I was even more terrified to tell my grandmother. I heard all the stories about being popped with wooden spoons, so I didn't know if she was going to hit me or not. She looked at me and she said, what do you want to do? She was basically asking me if I wanted to keep him. And if I would have said no, she probably would have taken care of that for me. I said, I've already heard his heartbeat. And my grandmother looked at me and she said, I want you to meet me right here every Friday and don't tell anybody. So I met her there the next Friday. And every Friday until he was born, she was there bringing me money. And I would be buying things. And by the time he was born, things were stacked to the ceiling. And I remember asking my grandmother, why won't you let me tell them that you're the one buying all this? And she looked at me and she said, because a mom always makes a way. And all they need to know is that you made a way. And that stuck with me. And I was more determined than ever to make a way for my child. But people said the cruelest things to me. One day, this lady that I really respected and loved, she looked me dead in my eyes and she said, "You have ruined your life. You done ruined that baby's life. You done destroyed your future, and you definitely gonna destroy that baby's future." And I remember staring at her with this intense look in my eyes, thinking to myself, "You're right. I'm definitely gonna destroy his future." When I was still 15, I applied for my first job. And when I got the call from a lady named Monica, she let me know that I was too young to apply. I would need to come back when I was 16. I was so devastated. But letting my son down wasn't even an option. I counted down every month until I was 16. And I went back. 4 days after my 16th birthday, I got hired for my very first job. Finally, I was really winning. But then reality set in fast. My mom was still sick, and I wasn't sure that I was going to be able to make it to work every day if I didn't have anyone to watch him. And I remember telling my best friend, Quita, she lived right down the street from me. I remember crying to her and I said, "I don't know if I'm going to be able to take that job because I won't have anyone to watch him." And she said, "Oh, you're going to take that job. You bring him to me." And while I was relieved, I was still a 16-year-old girl leaving home sometimes at 4 o'clock in the morning to get to work by 4:30. And I'm putting a baby in a stroller. It's pitch black outside. I'm 16. I'm in Inslee. And I'm walking down the street with my baby wrapped in blankets. And I still have a good bit of ways to walk to make it to work. Sometimes I stood out there in the cold. I stood out there in the heat. I even stood out there in the rain. But along the way, I met some really good people and we kind of became family. Monica became my godmother. And then Nadine, she became a godmother. Catherine, Tawana, Crystal, they became my sisters. And whenever I needed a ride, they would give me one. By the time I made it to his first birthday, I remember thinking, I can do this. But the truth is, I didn't have a choice. His dad couldn't help me because him and his brother was stuck in the county jail fighting for their life, only to be found not guilty 2 years later. I was sitting on the front porch one day, and my dad came out and he sat beside me, and he said, "Don't worry, I'm going to help you." He said, "I'm your dad, and I'm going to be his dad too." I had no idea he really meant that. My dad became all about my son. Every week when he got paid, he bought groceries for the house, and that included milk for my son as well as diapers. He took him everywhere. He did everything with him. He taught him how to be a young man, all the way down to how to be respectful, how to walk, how to talk, how to present yourself, how to work, how to be loyal, how to be ethical. He taught him everything. Even though my mom and dad was helping me and doing way more than they should be doing, and even though I was working, $4.25 an hour just wasn't enough. And one day, Monica told me, "Well, I can't give you any more hours because you're still in school." She didn't know it, but that was all I needed to hear. It wasn't long before school was no longer a problem. I needed the money, and I needed it fast to take care of my son. I got my first apartment when I was 17 because my mom always had this saying, when you think you're grown, you gotta go. And apparently I did. I got out there and boy was I in over my head. My first gas bill was $289 and my check was like $260. I remember calling my mom crying and I said they did something wrong and my mom said, "That's right. That's your bill." By this time you had a baby brother and for some reason I had it in my mind that anything connected to you I had to protect. And so I kept you guys close together and there would be some nights I would be walking up a flight of stairs to get into the apartment, and I had a baby on each hip because I couldn't leave one of you in the car. And I'm just trying to get in the door before anybody could bother me. I wasn't even in the best neighborhood. Looking back, I was really in over my head. I remember I started having car trouble and I couldn't stay at the apartment. And I came back weeks later and my apartment had been vandalized and everything worth anything was gone. I was so devastated. I had worked so hard to get you guys rooms furnished and decorated. I had my theories about who may or may not been behind it, but without proof, they were just theories. And I didn't have much time to cry about it. Miss Winters was going out of business. I was tired of working two jobs, and finally I applied at a furniture store. And I quickly realized that was my niche. That's where I should be. My dad looked at my check and he could not believe that I was making more than he was. And he was working in a plant, working around the clock. And here I am, this 19-year-old kid, making $3,000 and $4,000 a month, like it is nothing. My son was the happiest kid and he had the best of everything. I thought about all of the people that kept telling me I was going to destroy his life. And I sat there one day and I decided, yeah, I'm going to destroy it. I'm going to shatter it. I'm going to ruin every bit of it. Not the way they expected, though. Then I started to know you were very different. There was something special about you. And it wasn't just that you had material things or that you were this happy kid. You were special. Your kindergarten teacher called me one day and he said, he's too smart for this class. He needs to move on. But I wouldn't let you. And then I remember like a year or two later, another teacher told me, he's too smart for this class. He needs to move on. But I wouldn't let you. I wanted you to be a kid and I wanted you to experience life at your own pace. About 6.5 years after you were born, I was 22 and I was pregnant with your sister. I remember you looking at me and you asked me, can anybody take this baby from you, Mommy? And I said, no, baby, nobody can take her. And you fell in love with her. And every time I looked up, she was with you somewhere in your lap. And the two of us became the three of us. Before the two of you were born, I was a rapper. But my poetry quickly turned back into spoken word. And before long, I was an author, a poet. I was on every stage. I became a domestic violence advocate, a business owner. And those $3,000 and $4,000 checks, they had turned into $11,000 checks. It was clear that I was the boss. I moved us to a townhouse in Mountain Brook, and Roy Williams with the Birmingham News did an article on my store, James One Way. That's where the bosses play. And then I opened a second store, and it wasn't long before my dad got sick. He was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer at the end of May, and by July, he was gone. I watched both mine and my son's life shatter in one blink of an eye. Now I really had to be the boss because I couldn't let you fail, and now was the biggest test of your life. Could you continue to follow in what you had been taught, or would you fail? Failing wasn't even an option, and I wasn't going to let you. You graduated high school. You went on to college. You became the best version of yourself. And I looked at you one day and you were just like your granddaddy. You had to be the best of the best. For my son's entire life, I asked God to keep him around like-minded people, and all through school, I heard the same two names, Quill and Chirac. And you were always talking about DYT, do your thing. It wasn't long before that became a thing, and ASU recognized you as a real organization. The parties got bigger and bigger every year. But the charity and community service stood out the most. Suddenly, DYT became a clothing brand. And while the three of you guys were at college promoting, I became the unofficial model for DYT because everything I had on was DYT. I was repping DYT everywhere I went. Everything in my closet became DYT. I love the glow in the dark shirt. That was my favorite. I was so proud to be your mom. And Quill had the perfect personality. He was very outgoing. DYT managed to catch the attention of celebrities Amber Rose and Orion, and they didn't just take it to be nice. Orion actually put the hoodie on and wore it. And how powerful was that to see a black man supporting other young black men? From the community service, the peace jam, the clothing, DYT was popping. If you wasn't doing your thing, what were you doing? You even started telling me about a luxury, waterproof, scratch-resistant, glow-in-the-dark DYT watch that you were going to make. And just like that, you did it. And as a matter of fact, if you don't have this watch, you all better get it while he still has some. DYT is going to explode one day. Even bigger than now. I watched you graduate college. And I pulled you over to the corporate world with me. And I had no idea where that was going to lead. I was so proud of you. You were doing everything you said you were going to do. And one day, you accomplished your ultimate dream. You became a Kappa. You accomplished so many things and had so many accolades, I couldn't keep up. And when I look back on this part of our lives, I always knew the two of you would become bosses. I guess I thought I had this mommy thing down to a science because the three of us became the six of us. And we were all rocking DYT. Every last one of us supporting your brother. I remember when I bought my house, your brother said, "These kids got a pool." But I knew that was his way of saying he was proud of me. And I was so proud of him. Then life took another devastating turn. I lost my nephew, but you, my son, you lost a brother. My daughter, she lost her twin. You could have gotten bitter. You could have given up. Instead, you went harder. I watched you become a great photographer, and even when you weren't behind the lens, your creative eye was genius. I thank God every day for my dad and my mom, because neither one of our lives would have been the same without them. They taught me what it meant to be royal and what royalty truly was, and that was you all. Statistically speaking, yes, of course, I was supposed to ruin your life. I was supposed to destroy your future, and mine included. As they said, I was just a baby with a baby, and I could never raise you to be a man. I cast down every demonic spirit, every foul tongue that spoke over you in a negative light. I wasn't the fun mom. You couldn't go where you wanted to go or be around whoever you wanted to be around. You couldn't do whatever you wanted to do. I never smoked, drank, or did drugs because I never wanted anything to come before you. And it would never matter how much I accomplished. It wouldn't matter how much money I made or how much I was winning. If you were failing, I was losing.
Hi, my name's Cedric, and I'm going skydiving. Woo! Cedric, what in the world? Yes, sir. Why are you jumping out of an airplane today? Because I'm bored. I want to have fun, turn up, something different. Sounds super sketchy, man. Are you sure this is a good idea? Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. Fantastic idea. Great. We're going to take you up to 14,000 feet. 14,000? Hey, yeah, at your request, we're going to show you out of this airplane, and we're going to show you what it's all about, man. Perfect airplane. Just talk me out. Let's do it. All right. Just because you said that, check out the duct tape and everything that's in here, folks. Perfectly good. I don't know about that. We'll be ready to jump out of this thing. We're going to go show them how it's done, man. Anything you want to tell folks watching this video before we go? Let's do it. Let's do it.
You can break me down, but I'll stay till the finish line. And I've been counting minutes for quite some time now, just to see you again. And I've been counting days to get away, to see you again, see you again.
Whew. That was lit. Ooh, my ears gone.
What? Alright, man, welcome back, sir. You good? Ditch those goggles, man. You're free from him. You can ditch those goggles and tell me about it, man. What'd you think?
Man, that was awesome.
Pretty cool, huh?
I feel different.
Yeah, man.
I get my ears right, but man,
Nothing like it, is there?
nothing like it.
What was your favorite part?
Just the adrenaline rush. Like,
Yeah, man.
looking at the world.
You're not bored anymore, are you?
No.
Heck yeah, man.
No, I'm good for a good while. I might be back soon.
Yeah, man. How about it for Jimmy, man? Give him a high five.
Hey, man. Nice job.
I'll take a high five. Hey, thanks so much for coming to Skydive Alabama.
You're not watching this thing on repeat, are you? I'm already crying. He's graduating again. That's right, a 2-time college graduate getting his master's degree with a mom who was supposed to fail him, a mom who was supposed to ruin his life, a mom who was supposed to destroy his future. And if you haven't figured it out, I'm definitely about to start sobbing. I saw you looking around, and I saw a little disappointment when you didn't see me. But I was gonna make sure you saw me one way or the other. And I guess the guy behind you was like, do you not hear these people losing their mind up there? Do you not see this lady sobbing? Shout out to him for tapping you on the back. Shout out to him for saying, hey, that gotta be your mom. I watched your whole demeanor change once you spotted us. And for everything I missed out on, you didn't. And for everything I didn't accomplish, you did. For every stage I didn't cross, you did. For every walk I didn't walk, you did. I'm proud of you. Watching you sit there, thank you, Jesus, for my child. So glad that he is pointing us out again. You know you made me proud. And I want you to always remember, it will never matter who shows up and who doesn't show up as long as you show up for yourself. Keep God first in all that you do. Every lie and every attack from Satan, I destroyed. You can take pride in that. For every idea people said you wouldn't make it, I ruined that. And you can take pride in that. And for every time I say you were great, you are. And because I moved closer and you would otherwise not hear this, I put the skipper in.
Oh no!
That's his dad. And I know you're going to look back one day and you're going to remember certain milestones in your life. You will remember high school graduation, college graduation, and college graduation again. Saw both your mom and dad. Your sister is so proud. We were both screaming and crying. And that's me walking away with my baby, 2-time college graduate, from a teenage mom that they said would ruin his life. I'm so glad I destroyed it. I'm so glad I fought every attack, every battle. We won. And when I think about the cruel things people said to me, all I can do is dance now. And to my younger self sitting in class, young and confused, I would say, don't worry, baby. I got you too. One day you're gonna take your bow and I'll do it for you. It's the boss. Baby, life can take you through some changes. But the only thing that matters is if you can come out the boss. And I didn't turn out too bad either. And when I look back over my life, I have no regrets. I've accomplished more things than some will in a lifetime. And I'm so proud of me. And if you made it this far, go ahead, like, share, and subscribe. Because remember, it costs you nothing to be the one to lift someone up rather than tear them down. And to my son, I've told you your whole entire life that you're royalty. Now take your throne. I promised a little bit of me, honey, and that's what you got.